You could thank me now.
I want to take you back to the 2012 offseason. John Elway made one of the riskiest moves in signing Peyton Manning, a man that just came off neck surgery, and we all didn't know how he was going to be able to if he was going to be able to perform at that same high level like we're used to seeing him doing with the Colts. And give credit to John Elway and the Denver Broncos for believing in him, for doing it. We all know how the Peyton Manning saga went to 2 Super Bowls, obviously won one, and that was the year that Peyton Manning retired. But here's something John Elway didn't account for, and that's having the backup quarterback, a young guy, willing to take Peyton Manning's place, because Peyton Manning obviously didn't have much shelf life, as we could all tell. Now with John Elway, a lot of people like to call him the quarterback whisperer, or in this case, the place where quarterbacks die. There's no proper development or anything like that, and I'm going to tell you the carousel quarterbacks. So after Peyton Manning retired, guys, we're going to start with Brock Osweiler. Yes, Brock Osweiler, a man who's went 15-15. Now let's not forget, after the Super Bowl, he went to go to Houston, Texas to get his big contract. Ironically, the Broncos ended up getting him, costing them a draft pick to get Brock Osweiler back, and that didn't pan out too well. Next, we're going to focus on Trevor Siemian. And out of all these quarterbacks I'm going to list, he actually has done pretty decent. He's actually did more than what we all expected. Trevor Siemian, the guy went 13-11 in only 2 seasons with the Denver Broncos, and this goes to John Elway, because he is a GM. He is like the overseer, and he develops, I'll say that he had a say in quarterbacks and who stays, who goes. Didn't really give Trevor Siemian the opportunity. 2 seasons going 13. I think that's pretty decent. With the proper free agent signings, they could have gone 10-6, 11-5. Maybe you can go in the playoffs and do some type of damage, but we'll never know, because currently he's on the Minnesota Vikings. Now we have to go to Paxton Lynch, a man that's only played 5 total games, going 2-3, and ironically, he's been signed to the Seattle Seahawks. So we're starting to see a pattern here, guys, with all these quarterbacks in this carousel. John Elway doesn't really have a lot of patience, and he's a terrible quarterback evaluator. Yes, the great Denver Bronco legend, John Elway, he's not really so good at developing quarterbacks. Now, there's always a lot of attributing factors of why a quarterback doesn't work out, but guys like Trevor Siemian, if he gave him more time, I think he could have been at least a subpar, average quarterback that could have done something decent for the Denver Broncos. Now, speaking of the Vikings, we're going to go to Case Keenum, a man that we all saw who lit it up with the Minnesota Vikings, taking them all the way to a championship game. Honestly, I think if Case Keenum would have stuck with the Vikings, they could have probably been back to the playoffs, but that's another story, another topic. With the Denver Broncos, Case Keenum only went 6-10, and this was kind of a shocker, at least to most fans, because they was wondering why he couldn't produce that same type of talent. Well, as we all know, ever since Peyton Manning left, the Denver Broncos offense has plummeted. I mean, going from a top 5 offense to the dead last in offense. This team has really struggled, and with Elway's thinking behind this was to sign a veteran quarterback who has experience, and most of these backup quarterbacks are only doing well in one system they thrive under. So I don't know what was understanding trying to get someone in a different system, knowing that they weren't going to do so well. Now, if you haven't heard, Joe Flacco is signing with the Denver Broncos. Now, the Ravens have traded him, and this goes again to John Elway has an affinity for veteran quarterbacks who have done decently well in the playoffs. How will Joe Flacco do in the with the Broncos? I give them 8-8, maybe 7-9, something like that. At this point, it's up to John Elway to honestly draft a quarterback. There's rumor they're going to draft Drew Lock or some guy like that in the draft, but that's going to be determined, honestly, because at this point, all these quarterbacks, John Elway hasn't even given them 3 years, and that's really little to no time for a quarterback to develop and learn a system under, an offense and everything. Yes, I understand that Brock Osweiler wasn't the greatest, neither was Paxton Lynch. Trevor Siemian, you could have kind of stuck with and see where things could have possibly gone. Maybe give him 1 more year, but I don't know. It's John Elway's team. He runs the show there. Now, like I say, he's going to a 34-year-old quarterback who has won a Super Bowl, but does Joe Flacco really have anything left in the tank? Honestly, what are we going to expect from Joe Flacco that we haven't already seen? As we know, Flacco's numbers in the regular season are kind of abysmal, to be honest with you guys. Well, it's gonna only show, you know, how things can go at this point. Can Elway, you know, get another Peyton Manning, like, you know, or reproduce another season like Peyton Manning, or will he go back to a drawing board and like pick another quarterback from free agents, someone who's semi-decent to say the least? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is John Elway a terrible quarterback evaluator, or is it just the quarterback that's not working in the system? He's just kind of hitting and missing, because, you know, we all know Peyton Manning can thrive under any system. That's kind of like a outlier towards the other quarterbacks. But it looks like John Elway has kind of ruined the Denver Broncos in a sense of he hasn't had a backup plan. And what I mean by backup plan is that you draft a guy, you give him like 3 to 4 years to learn, you know, especially him being on the Peyton Manning, you give him that time so that he can be ready to play. We all know that Brock Osweiler struck down. Trevor Siemian, I'm scratching my head on that one, because, you know, he has done well, he's shown flashes, but and then you cut Case Keenum real short, you give him a short lease to work with. Then we go to Joe Flacco. I don't know, guys. It's looking kind of bad for the Denver Broncos. Can they get their act together and actually draft a young quarterback who can sit and learn under a veteran quarterback? That will be determined, you know, in a couple of years, because we'll be going to the same issue again where John Elway wants to sign a free agent quarterback who, you know, who's a proven veteran and whatnot, and maybe can show some success when that's not going to be a long-term issue. Joe Flacco may just be the bridge placeholder for another quarterback, but that is yet to be determined with John Elway's stubbornness and not his willingness not to truly develop a quarterback. Well, guys, if you think that John Elway isn't truly responsible, well, I shouldn't say he is, but he shouldn't take so much responsibility. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think the Denver Broncos should draft a quarterback, or should they stick with Joe Flacco and ride it out? With that being said, guys, if you like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and I am out.